Exercise 7. Combining information from product labels and packaging with your mental maps represents advanced geographic thinking. You can practice this in stores, at school, and at home by reading the labels and packaging on products to find out where the raw materials used to make them came from and who made them. For example, many computers are manufactured in China from European and Japanese components. They carry a USA label and are packaged in boxes made in Mexico. Most toys are manufactured in China. Much of our clothing is sewn in Mexico, Central America, or Asia. Many books are printed in Singapore. After much practice, you will find it easier to predict which country names will appear on boxes and labels. This is great evidence that your mental maps are becoming more detailed. Exercise 8. I have found it interesting to compare the electronic equipment sold to consumers with the equipment sold to professionals. Although much more expensive, the professional equipment tends to be simpler and easier to use. Video recorders for the home market have numerous flashing lights, many buttons and settings, and complex menus for setting the time and programming future recordings. The recorders for the professionals just have the essentials, and are therefore easier to use while functioning better. This difference arises, in part, because the designers will be using the products themselves, so they know just what is important and what is not. Tools made by artisans for themselves all have this property. Designers of hiking or mountain climbing equipment may one day find their lives depending upon the quality and behavior of their own designs. Exercise 9. Traditionally, law schools have tended to keep their distance from other schools at a university. They usually have their own buildings. The law library is separate from other university libraries and contains little other than legal literature, a situation that promotes informational distance between law and other bodies of knowledge. The segregation of students has been nearly total. Undergraduate programs in law are rare. Law courses are peopled nearly exclusively by law students, who in turn take nothing outside of law school. In my own institution, at least, law courses are listed in a separate timetable, and the law school even follows a different academic calendar from the rest of the university. Little wonder that lawyers, immersed for 3 years in this separate world, go forth with the belief that the law is a domain unto itself. Exercise 10. Today, we often find ourselves disappointed by the moral character of leaders. As humans, leaders are subject to the same flaws and weaknesses as everyone else. Yet, we want our leaders to transcend them and live up to higher moral standards. Some people turn longingly to the past and wonder where all the leaders and heroes have gone. But when you think about it, ordinary people did not know as much about the personal behavior of their leaders in the past as we do today. It is difficult to have heroes in the information age, where every aspect, good or bad, of a leader's life can be, and often is, made public. Ironically, the increase in information that we have about leaders has also increased our concern about their ethics. The more defects our leaders have, the more we long for ethical leaders. We have demystified our leaders, and we're not sure we like it. Exercise 11. Regarding morality as an informal public system that applies to all rational persons explains many of the features of morality that almost everyone agrees upon. Normal adults are regarded as knowing what morality requires, prohibits, encourages, and allows, and this explains why ignorance of morality is not normally allowed as an excuse. It also explains why it is not considered irrational for any person to adopt morality as a guide, even as the ultimate guide for her own conduct. The account of morality as a public system that applies to all rational persons also explains why morality is regarded as inescapable. No one can simply decide to withdraw from it, Others will continue to judge a person morally regardless of her claim that she is above it or outside of it. Exercise 12. The changing nature of holidays was reflected in the social groups taking holidays and in the distances which people were prepared to travel to holiday destinations. One of the major demand changes was the increased availability of leisure for a wider group in society. Rising real incomes, paid holidays, and growing tendency to demand foreign holidays, or a combination of these, were important and continuing factors stimulating international tourism demand. These factors were not simply economic determinants, but also social. As the world recovered from the Second World War, there was growing evidence to indicate that people were spending more time on leisure activities and on travel. These tendencies were reflected in the protection that many people gave to holiday expenditures, these expenditures being the last thing to give up in the face of income changes. Lecture 10. Gateway. Library